Wednesday, September 21st, 2022 means only one thing on the Gonzaga Nation Media Network. That means it is Mailbag Wednesday on the ISO. It's exactly as it sounds. If you've got a question for me or maybe one of our other staff here at Gonzaga Nation SI, send it my way. I'll answer it. If it's by chance for someone else, I'll pass it on. But you send your questions in. Email it to me, dickow@scorebooklive.com, on social media at ddickow21, on Instagram or Twitter at dandickow21. All of our Gonzaga Nation SI handles are exactly that, at Gonzaga Nation SI, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I believe we're even on TikTok now. So first question comes from Jack in Spokane, and he asks, David Stockton signs with the Pacers. What are the chances he makes the team? Well, Jack, appreciate the question. Yeah, it's awesome that David Stockton's career just continues to stay alive. He's had a couple short stints in the NBA. He's had one of the best careers in the G League over the last 7 or 8 years for point guards. He's gone overseas a couple times and played in different places. But when you look at it, he's just a guy that absolutely loves the game of basketball, and why not keep playing at the highest level? With an invite, which is what that is, it's an invite to the Pacers training camp. They wouldn't make an invite to an older veteran point guard as opposed to maybe a younger guy that they would want to put on assignment down to their G League team if they didn't think there was a solid chance for that player such as David to make their roster. Now, I haven't taken a deep dive on their roster to see what I think of his opportunities based on the roster is to make it. But my quick understanding, my quick knowledge of the Pacers roster is obviously Tyrese Halliburton is going to be your starting point guard. He's an all-star caliber type player. Then they drafted Andrew Nembhard, Gonzaga product, in the second round this year, signed him to the largest guaranteed contract ever for a second round pick. So that shows you the value that they have in him. But with that, every team needs a third point guard, and David Stockton has proved to be a valuable addition to any team that he's ever been on. So I wish him nothing but the best of luck. I hope he makes the team, but I haven't broke down the roster for the sake of giving true odds to whether or not that's going to happen. But Jack, appreciate the question, and I do think it's awesome how he keeps expanding and continuing his career. Next question comes from Denver, and Tim asks, why hasn't Gonzaga released their schedule yet? Good question. I touched on this on a Mailbag episode a week or two ago, that they are one of the few schools left that hasn't released their schedule. I think everybody now in the WCC has released their schedule. Gonzaga, we have a pretty solid framework of what we think their schedule is going to be. Obviously, we know the PK85, we know the Kentucky game, we know the UW game, the Texas game, the Alabama game. You keep naming these schools, holy cow, the Michigan State game. They are playing a loaded schedule, but with that loaded schedule, there's still a couple openings left. And there are 2 games that are left that just have to be finalized, that they're in the contract stage. I don't know the dates of them, but I do know they're in the final stages of contracts being signed. I would imagine the rest of those details should be finished here in the coming days, and it should be out. The only other schedule update that will need to happen will be the broadcast schedule. So there's the first schedule that comes out that details and lines out the days of the games and where they're played. And then really once those get dialed in, then they go to the networks, and then they will pick and choose which games they want, and they can slide the time accordingly to how it fits their broadcast schedule. Usually if KHQ or Root has it in the Northwest, it's a 6 p.m. start. If it's an ESPN or ESPN2 game, you could be looking at anything from a 6, 7, or 8 o'clock tip. And then CBS is typically, if I remember correct, they're at 8 p.m. If it's a West Coast game. So I would expect that schedule to be out any day now. So appreciate that question. Last question comes from Patty in Yakima. She asks, I see you have a gym in Spokane called Shoot 360. Lexi Hull is doing a clinic there. Nolan Hickman is doing a clinic. Do you have any GU women's players doing a clinic anytime soon for my kids? Patty, thanks for the question. Yes, I've got a gym in Spokane, Shoot 360. We have some of the greatest technology out there for players of any level, youth all the way up to professionals, to kind of learn about their shooting mechanics and their analytics to be able to improve at a faster rate. But yes, we are running a clinic with former Central Valley in Spokane star, Stanford All-American, and current WNBA player Lexi Hull. That clinic will be on Sunday, September 25th. And then we're going to do a clinic with Gonzaga point guard Nolan Hickman on Sunday, October 2nd. In regards to your question, yes, we have done a clinic with GU women's player. Last spring, we did a clinic with Melody Kempton, who was an all-league player last year for the GU women's team. We'd love to run another clinic with a women's player at Gonzaga, with the season coming up. And we're looking at that right now as far as who might be a good fit or who may have interest in running a clinic at Shoot 360, because with the new NIL rules, you have the opportunity to run small clinics, get paid, and those sort of things. So I think it's a great give back. It's a way to give back to the community for those players, also make a little bit of money. And then for a gym like ours, it's the chance to kind of showcase and show our technology to some new people. So appreciate the questions from Jack, Tim, and Patty. Thank you. Again, if you got a question, send them our way at Gonzaga Nation SI on the social media channels, or email me, dickout@scorebooklive.com. It's been another Mailbag Wednesday episode. Take care, and don't forget to send your questions in.